Welcome to Salesology, conversations with sales leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. When you're ready to transform your sales for today's transforming market, we've got you covered with your host, the queen of cold calling and founder of Salesology, award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and coach, Wendy Weiss.
Hi. Welcome to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. And I'm your host, Wendy Weiss. I am the founder of Salesology and the Salesology Prospecting Method. And I'm also known as the Queen of Cold Calling. And today we have a very special guest. We have the fabulous Wesleyne. And Wesleyne has been a sales and leadership expert for more than 13 years, and she understands the challenges that are involved in being at the pinnacle of your profession. Her company is Transformed Sales, and it's a company that's dedicated to combining Wesleyne's love for sales with her passion for coaching. And throughout her career, she has demonstrated a strong ability to develop revenue through sales, marketing, and ongoing customer support, which is really important. And she's gotten so many accolades from her efforts, multiple Sales Team of the Year awards, Sales Excellence Awards. And her process empowers coaches and transforms underperforming sales managers into confident leaders. And Wesleyne's unique approach to sales leadership involves both coaching to develop leadership skills and then also creating out-of-the-box strategies to ensure that everyone on the team becomes a sales superstar. And she has the singular goal for her clients of generating more repeatable revenue. And we're going to come back to that one. But let's begin at the beginning. The fabulous Wesleyne. Tell us the backstory. How did you get to where you are today? How did Transformed Sales come about? Give us the inside scoop here.
So I am a recovering chemist. I started my career doing what we call in the plastics world, failure analysis. So I had to figure out why plastic things were failing out there in the world, in the field, in the hands of consumers. And I always found myself asking the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why does this matter? Who does this impact? And all of those questions led me to finding myself in a sales career. And I tell people when I got into sales, I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up because I loved everything about it. I loved the questioning. I loved the negotiation. I just loved everything about it. And that love, passion, and desire helped me make a really fast ascent from individual contributor to international sales manager. As an international sales manager, it was like somebody dropped me in the ocean and said, okay, you can swim really well. Now bring all these little fish with you and let them swim too. And I was like, what are you talking about? So I had a lot of challenges in my first few months as a sales manager. And I realized that I had to take a step and say, oh, this is my problem, not their problem. And that is really what turned around my entire department, all of the salespeople that worked with me. And so what we do at Transform Sales is literally that. We help organizations build stronger cultures by empowering leaders to get everyone on their team to hit their quota each and every month.
And I love what you just said about when you were looking at your sales team, and you said it's my problem, not theirs, because I can't tell you how many sales managers or sales leaders that I've spoken with over the years that have said to me, they don't do anything. They are not selling. They are not prospecting. And so let's talk about that. What does a sales leader do when their sales team isn't producing?
The first question I ask most sales leaders that have teams that are underperforming is, have you given them 100% of what they need to succeed? And they're like, what are you even talking about? They don't even know what their team needs to succeed. And so as a sales leader that knows the team is crumbling. They're not hitting their goals. You're having high turnover. You can tell people aren't really working. They're not hitting their KPIs. You first have to turn the mirror and look at yourself to say, what am I doing to empower my team? How am I ensuring that they're hitting their goals? Am I just so focused on hitting the number that I'm forgetting the actual human beings that are working with us? So that's the first thing that you have to do is take a look in the mirror and say, what am I doing to help or hurt the situation?
And so can you give us some examples of the kinds of things that might be helping or the kinds of things that might be hurting the situation?
So as a sales manager, sales leader, you were once a salesperson. And if you're in this position, that means you really sold well, or you really like to sell. So you tend to swoop in and close deals for your salespeople. You'll go on a sales call with them and they're talking, and then you just take over the meeting. And what happens is that prospect, they lean on you as the authority. So instead of elevating their salesperson, they're now like, oh, okay, you're the one who can help me get this discount. You're the one who's going to get this over the finish line. So you take the power away from your salesperson and you put it on yourself. That is one thing that you're doing to disenfranchise, to make your team not want to sell. Things that are good that you would be doing to help your team is listening. So in every good discovery call, what do we say? Listen to the prospect. In every good one-on-one or coaching situation with your team members, you need to listen to them. You need to be quiet. Meet them where they are. Don't just have a list of agenda items and say, okay, now let's open up the CRM and let's go through each one of your deals. That is not what you should be doing in a one-on-one coaching environment. You should really be meeting them where they are and addressing their challenges, their areas of opportunity, and helping them grow incrementally so they can get to where they need to be.
So that's very interesting that you say meet them where they are. How do you do that?
So in order to really meet your salesperson where they are, this kind of goes back to my chemist brain. I use data. We have to assess them. We have to really understand where each and what are their strengths. Am I talking to somebody who has a fear of rejection? Am I talking to somebody who really isn't a good hunter? What are the challenges that this person that I am dealing with is really having? So use some kind of assessment tool. There are lots of different ones out there, but something to give you a baseline data to show you this person's strengths. I don't like to say weaknesses. I say areas of opportunities for growth, but their strengths, areas of opportunities, and you focus on the areas of opportunities. If they're really, really good at using the CRM, don't even open it up. Don't even talk to them about it. They're already good at it. You're going to annoy them. They're going to be like, why does this person keep telling me to do all this stuff in the CRM? I use it every day. But if they're not so good at maybe hunting, then you talk to them about how they can hunt more and focus on the behaviors to drive change, not just the output, right? Yes, I want them to hunt more, but what behaviors do I need to institute? What behaviors do I need to nurture and develop so that they can hunt better?
So do you find, I'm very curious, do you find that it's possible to change someone that, say, is not a good hunter to maybe they're a great farmer, but they're not a great hunter? Is it possible to change them, or is it better to just say, okay, this person's a good farmer, I'm going to keep them farming, I'm going to plug somebody else into the hunter role?
It really depends on what the composition of your team is. Some organizations have the ability to hire people. Some organizations have the ability to kind of shift people around in their different areas. And if you can do that, align people with their strengths. It is much more effective, much easier, if you will, to align somebody who is more of a farmer and have them in a farming role. But if you don't have that ability within your organization, then yes, anyone can be taught to sell, right? Because there's art and there's science. The science part of it is the fundamentals that we teach. The art part of it is the practice, the doing, right? So the actually getting out there and working through it. And that person who is more of a farmer and less of a hunter, there are most likely things that are holding that person back from hunting. Again, that fear of rejection. Every time I cold call, this is your area of expertise. Every time I cold call, they hang up the phone in my face. And so I don't like that. I don't like when people hang the phone up in my face. And so it takes me 3 hours to overcome it. I'd rather just go talk to my customer I already know and find more business there. So how do we deal with that behavior that is causing them to not do? How do we deal with the overcoming fear of rejection? That's what we focus on. And once we focus on those behaviors, that's how we really drive change.
I often find that salespeople do a lot of either mind reading or fortune telling. I've had clients that will tell me in great detail what prospects that they've never even talked to, but they know what the prospect is thinking, and they will tell me in great detail. Or they will tell me, they'll project into the future and tell me what's going to happen if they pick up the phone and reach out to a complete stranger. They already know the outcome, even though they haven't taken the action yet. So how do you, I know how I deal with that, but how do you deal with that? I'm curious.
I always instruct the leader to ask that pointed question. Did the prospect say that? Like that simple question. Did the prospect say that? They're like, no, but I think, okay, no, I don't need you to think. I need you to go back and ask them all the questions. Because as you said, this fortune telling, this I think maybe could happen. What they're doing is a lot of times they're losing the sale for themselves in their mind before they even take the steps. And so again, it's meeting that salesperson where they are. So that sales manager that is in that spot needs to literally meet them where they are and understand, why are you doing so much fortune telling? Why are you doing so much? I think maybe. What is there? Let's peel the onion all the way back, get to the root of the issue, work through that, and then you will be able to make that call, make the next 10 calls, and start moving through your sales process.
I couldn't agree more. It's like reality at some point has to come into the picture, and asking, well, how do you know they don't want to talk to you? You haven't reached out yet. Having that kind of conversation will go a long way towards just getting people to shift their mindset a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's switch gears here for a minute, because I want to ask you about generating more repeatable revenue. And what's the secret? Because I know that's what everybody wants. So give us the inside scoop here. What's the secret?
So the secret is, when working with these sales leaders, I have this very simple chart, and we plot people on a chart every month or every quarter. And it's the revenue effort chart, right? And so literally on one axis, we have revenue. On the other axis, we have effort. And we plot people based on where they are in terms of how much effort are they exerting, and are they hitting their revenue numbers? So the people who are in that lower right quadrant with low effort and low revenue, they don't need to be on the team. So we need to get them out. It's not coaching them out. We put them on a performance improvement plan because they're not hitting their numbers and they're not trying. So why are you investing your energy in them? So those are the first people that we kind of say, okay, time for you guys to find something else to do. Put them on a performance improvement plan and get them out. The people in that top right quadrant, which are high effort, high revenue, they do everything you ask them to do and they are hitting their numbers. We just support them. We don't spend all our time with them because they already know what they're doing. We really need to focus on those people who are high effort, low revenue, right? Because they're trying. They're doing everything you ask them to. They're just not moving the needle. And then those people who are hitting their targets, but they're just skirting by, they're just barely doing what they need to do to get by. We also focus on those two. So that's the half of the team, not the Pareto principle, not the 80-20. That's the half of the team that we should be spending 80% of our time on, helping those people who are putting in max effort, but they're not closing those deals. There's usually 1 or 2 or 3 little tweaks that you need to make to really start seeing them hit the needle. And I worked with a client earlier this year, and that was literally somebody on their team. They were doing everything they were being asked, but they just weren't hitting it. And once we met them where they were, like within literally 30 days, they were 20% over quota. And for the rest of the year, they've been over quota every single month. And so it's really focusing on what are the challenges these people on my team are having and meeting them where they are.
So I'm curious about something that you said, because I read a study recently that said something like 83% of newly hired salespeople are gone in 3 years. They either quit or you've had to let them go because they're not producing. Although why they're there for 3 years, if they're not producing, is another question. And then also, one of the conversations I have with clients all the time is how hard it is to hire. And so what are some of the things if any of our audience are looking to hire or they have newly hired salespeople, what do they need to be doing to make sure that these newly hired salespeople are productive quickly, or they figure out really quickly that they made a mistake and they let them go?
I love to say hire slow, fire fast. And so when you hire slow, what that means is, one, stop hiring your competitors' rejects. Just because they worked in the industry, just because they have all of this knowledge and they are going to bring you all these customers, that really doesn't mean anything. Find people that have strong sales skills. Find someone that can actually be a consultative seller, that can actually do a discovery call and listen, that can actually make the 100 cold calls you need them to make every single day. Whatever those things are, that's what you need to look for. Strong sales skills is the number one key for a good salesperson. And you have to take them through a series of steps. One of the things that we do in the interview process when I'm working with organizations is we make them present us a topic. Teach me something. Because as a salesperson, I don't care where it is, if you're an SDR cold calling or a field salesperson, you are in the business of teaching somebody something. You are in the business of convincing someone to do something. So we make them, and I'm like, I don't care what it is. It can be anything. Don't tell me about my company. Tell me about something you're passionate about. One of the best ones I ever heard was somebody who taught me how to make beer. I don't drink beer and I don't even like beer, but I was like, oh, I'm going to go buy this stuff. This is amazing. So that is key. Hire slow. And then the fire fast is, you have to have an onboarding plan that is at least 90 days. And you need to have skill sets that they complete each and every week with a skill check on Friday. So for instance, maybe one of the skills that they need to learn how to do is how to enter leads into the CRM. So you say, this week, I want you to enter 20 leads into the CRM. I want the records to be complete with all of these things in it. On Friday, they need to show you the 20 leads that they've entered into the CRM. Maybe it's a product that they have to learn something about. Go learn all about this product, write a report on how we sell this product, why it's important. Like literally, and each week, you will understand and know if they're on target or not. If they're not hitting those milestones early, then you let them go. And so that is really how we hire better salespeople and get them to ramp up quickly. Because 3 years, how much money have we wasted with a person sitting in a seat not producing for 3 years?
Absolutely. And sometimes I talk to clients or prospects that tell me they have people that have been there for 6 and 7 and 8 years and they're not producing. But I'm also curious about something that you said, because you talked about hiring people with sales skills. Well, what if you're going to hire someone, maybe they're just out of college, but you think they're a good fit? I assume you recommend assessments here as well.
Absolutely. A lot of the industries I work with are kind of the technical industry. So manufacturing, engineering, petrochemical. And one of the best salespeople that when I was working with a client they hired was a person who was an insurance agent. And he literally had no experience in the manufacturing industry. He had never stepped in a plant a day in his life, but he knew how to sell. He was literally making $100,000 a year on a 100% commission job. You're a strong salesperson. So it doesn't matter if they've sold or not. It's really about those innate skills that someone has. And again, it does go back to assessing. You have to assess someone to understand how well they're going to interact in a sales environment. Not what they've done in the past, but innately their sales DNA, those things that are within them that you can tap into and develop.
I love what you're saying, Wesleyne. And I want to ask you some more questions about motivating teams and, what to do to increase their buy-in so that they stay, so they sell. We're going to pause now for a word from our sponsor. And our sponsor today is Salesology 3X Appointments. You know how frustrating and stressful it is when you leave every sales meeting wondering if your sales team knows how to sell because they're not selling, and all you ever hear from them are excuses. They blame your marketing. They say you need to do more social media, and they say you need a new website. You know something's wrong, but you don't quite know what it is, and you're even starting to wonder if it's you. You don't have a lot of options. You could fire them all and start from scratch. That would be expensive. And you're really sick of waking up in the middle of the night wondering how to fix this. Well, imagine instead they have an easy-to-use, replicable system that ensures that your team can easily schedule qualified appointments. And imagine that your team is excited and motivated. No more excuses. And you feel good. Salesology 3X Appointments can make that happen. If you're a business owner or a sales manager with an underperforming sales team, let's talk. Click on the link to my calendar in the show notes, schedule a time, and I look forward to meeting you. And we are back with the all too fabulous Wesleyne. And I have more questions for you, Wesleyne. And my first question is just about motivating people. I get that question a lot. How do I motivate my team? So I'm really interested in your answer. How do you motivate a sales team?
All salespeople, which this will be a surprise to many people listening, all salespeople are not motivated by money. So there are three different types of motivation that we see in human beings and in salespeople. Extrinsic motivation, which is the traditional, I'm motivated by external things. I am motivated by money. I'm motivated by cars. I'm motivated by doing things, going out. The second type of motivation is intrinsic motivation. I am running a race by myself. So every month when that leaderboard comes out, I want to see my name at the top of the leaderboard just because I like that. That is what is important to me. And thirdly, it is altruistic motivation, which is I am motivated by helping others. So my commission, my bonus, I have to pay bills. Yeah, I want to do nice things, but I really want to pay my mom's house off so that she can retire early, or I want to send my kids to college debt free. So asking your sales team in your one-on-ones with them, what really drives you? What makes you wake up every day and enjoy coming to work? Asking them that question and listening to what they say. And then when you have tough times, or if you want to give them accolades, you connect it to that thing. So for instance, the person who is extrinsically motivated, they say, yeah, so I really want to go on this 14-day Mediterranean cruise, and I want to take all my family, and I want to do all these things. You say, hey, it's getting close to the end of the month, and I see that you're about to make an extra $20,000 this month if we close these 5 deals. That's going to be $20,000 more towards your vacation. That is what's going to be on their mind, and they're going to be moving. They're going to be rolling. So really understanding the underlying why each person shows up to work every day and why they work so hard and why they're in this job that, as we know, can be stressful. That's really how you motivate them.
Okay. So how do you get, and that I love that answer, by the way. And how do you get their buy-in? Because sometimes salespeople, you have a process, you have a system, you have a CRM, you have whatever it is, and they don't want to do it, or they don't want to follow the plan, or they don't want to be. You have a team, but they don't really consider themselves to be part of it. So how do you get their buy-in for what you're trying to accomplish?
It's really, really important for your sales team to see that you're in the trenches with them. So you're not just sitting in an ivory tower and saying, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. But you actually say, hey, let's go. I want to visit your client with you. And you're sitting back and you're observing, and then you give them constructive feedback. Okay, how about we do some practice cold calls together? I'll do it too. Maybe let's have a cold call-a-thon. I'll do some cold calling, you'll do some cold calling. Well, I'll do it together. So when they see that you're in the trenches with them and you actually care, you actually are walking alongside them, not on this ivory tower above them, that's when they feel like they are working with a leader that they can trust and they can follow. Because the old adage of people leave managers, not companies, is very true. If they don't trust you, if they don't think that you have their best interest at heart, then when somebody offers them $10,000 more, they're going to leave. You want the kind of organization and culture where somebody offers them $20,000 more and they're like, I can't leave because my manager cares so much about me, my family, my outcome, my growth, that money doesn't matter. And so that is the key to really getting their buy-in.
I love what you're saying. I have a lot of clients that will say to me that because we teach prospecting, and so they will tell their salespeople, it's a necessary evil. Go do it. And then, of course, they go back to their office to do whatever it is they're doing, leaving their salespeople out there to do this horrible thing they've just told them to do. And surprise, surprise, nobody wants to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I love this idea of being really engaged with the sales team, understanding where they're coming from, meeting them where they're coming from. And can you share some successes with us, before and after stories, maybe where the sales leadership was not doing those things and now they are, and what was the result?
Ooh, I have so many success stories. One that I can point to is a team, a leader who, when we had our initial meeting, our kickoff, it was like, yeah, the CRM is a complete waste of time and I don't like it. I'm not making my team use it because it's just such a waste. Like, and if you can convince me, then I'll give you a bunch of money, a whole bunch of accolades. I was like, okay, great. And what I found was that sales leader wasn't taught how to use it to benefit them. And since they didn't know how it benefited them, they couldn't teach their team to show them how it would benefit them. To essentially, the CRM helps you make more money, just in case nobody knows that. And so as we were working together and as we continued through the process, he literally said, I don't know how I ever was able to survive without having the CRM. Like, it helps me stay on track. It helps my team stay on track. And because he believed in it, he got his team to believe in it. Another story that I like to share is an organization. When I started working with them, they were 30% behind budget. The sales manager was exhausted. He had just been looked over for a promotion. He was disenfranchised. He was like, I can't do this anymore. And within us working together for 3 months, they exceeded their monthly quota by 30%. And he was like, I have so much time on my hand, Wesleyne. I don't know what to do with all this extra time, because he was so deep into the weeds, doing the salespeople's jobs for them, not leading, not managing. And he couldn't see why he got looked over for the promotion. It was because he wasn't being strategic. He wasn't thinking about the organization holistically. So I had to elevate him up out of the weeds, and we had to get his team all in lockstep, focusing on the things that needed to happen. And again, that organization actually ended the year, I think his quota was about 22 million and he ended at 23.5 million. So it was a 12 months ahead of schedule for the amount of revenue he had to generate. So,
yeah. Okay. And did he get his promotion too?
He hasn't gotten a promotion yet, but and that's a good thing to bring up. After we worked through the process and we got him and his team where they needed to be, he became happy and content with the position that he was in. He realized that the reason he was going after the promotion was just because he thought that was the next thing that he needed to do on his career ladder, but he really enjoyed the work he was doing. And so he's in that position, and we check in every now and then and he still loves it.
Okay, well, that's wonderful because it's really hard to do something every single day that you don't love doing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So this has been terrific, Wesleyne. I've really enjoyed this conversation. So if people want to find you, if our audience wants to find you, engage with you, learn more, where can they find you?
LinkedIn. I am always on there sharing lots of Wesleyne wisdom, as I call it, and I'm just there at Wesleyne.
Okay, so we will post Wesleyne's LinkedIn profile in the show notes. We will also post a link to Fabulous Wesleyne's website. We've been talking to Wesleyne of Transformed Sales. And thank you for listening today to the Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders podcast. And if you found value in our conversation today, think of one person, one business leader, one sales professional that you think might also find value in listening to this conversation and share the link with them. And as always, till we meet again, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, really large bills.
You've been listening to Salesology, Conversations with Sales Leaders, the art of faster, easier, more profitable sales. Be sure to follow so that you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review and be sure to share it with your friends. Tune in every week for more exciting insights and wisdom on transforming sales. And until next time, visualize yourself surrounded by cash, very large bills.